Fuck Uncle Man.
My man. Oh man, I got you
13%.
recorded saying that.
I'm sure you have that. You have that recorded of me
You
saying
guys
that.
want to
multiple
take
times.
a quick guess on how much these two things cost?
They
$123.
yeah, whatever
48 cents.
$79.99 times 2 is.
That's more than 79. 79 is just the game.
No, this comes with a controller.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
$165.
And so both of them, for both of them, it was like 100 or 295 or something.
Holy shit! Are you serious?
Yeah, it was like $300.
That's not worth
Oh,
it.
that's not worth it.
That's not
That
worth
is
it.
not. I know you're a Pokemon fan, but like, did you see that Detective
You
Pikachu?
can steal stuff.
I will take that if you don't want it. I'm sure Clinton will.
I got 2 of them actually, so if you want.
This? This is $150.
Ow!
I'm not taking
No,
that.
Fuck!
I meant I got 2 posters.
Oh!
Oh! Not like this.
Oh! Brother. Oh, okay, we're good to go.
Oh, did you hear at one point during Grindelwald's speech, he had 2 lines that were verbatim from The Room? Did
No,
did
you have to
catch
put
that?
that. No.
Oh, I forget what it was.
I was fighting off sleep.
Oh, I can't remember what it was.
I did learn today that his name is pronounced Grindelwald because
Grindelwald.
he's from Norway.
It
So I
still
was-
bothered me though.
What?
He's Northeast.
It doesn't anymore though now that I know he's Norwegian, but at first it triggered me the whole movie because I thought, there's no V in his name, why are we calling it that? But it's
No, it didn't trigger me because I figured I was probably just uncultured by calling him Grindelwald.
yeah.
I feel like I've heard that before.
Sorry, Nick Cage gets promoted this episode.
Probably Fantastic Beasts when you watched it.
Probably.
We ready to go, folks?
Sure.
This is 10:28, right? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Excelsior. Welcome to episode 229 of the GeekVerse podcast. I am the half-blood Prince Trasno.
I'm the whore crux, still nice.
Oh, did you do that on purpose?
Hell yeah, I did.
Okay.
Come on, you
This-
probably have like 10.
I-
You probably have 10.
No,
on
you
the
know what?
mind
You did
all
this
done.
yesterday too when you talk about Pokemon. Pokemon and Harry Potter, you should be flowing with nicknames.
Flowing.
Flowin. You know what? I was trying to think of what Nagini was called. Like her.
Yeah, they use a lot of terms in this movie that
Yeah,
I don't know.
I wanted to refer to myself as that, but I don't.
Snakish.
Not quite.
Oh, like what she technically, like what she was
Yeah.
cursed with to like
Yeah,
switch it
exactly.
over. Yeah.
I was trying to think of it,
Yeah.
and I can't. So
Not spoilers. They announced that before the movie's coming
Oh,
out.
yeah,
So I don't want to hear it in the comments.
that was a commercial. Like,
Yeah.
Commercial.
Yeah, I'm I'm actually the forever scarred
There you
fan.
Very nice.
I have a tattoo for Harry Potter for listeners that.
Ravenclaw.
Now here's a question: do all Slytherins have it on their left arm like that?
That's it's not a Slytherin.
No, I
thing.
know that wasn't, but I it was bad time because they have a tattoo. Do they all have it on their left
The
arm?
dark mark.
Yeah.
The dark mark.
I believe it's left.
Okay. Is that why, or you just chose left arm? I know it's not the Slytherin
Is
dark
that a
mark,
typical
but
Ravenclaw thing to do as well, left arm?
No.
they don't tat. No.
I thought about doing the dark mark, but then it's kind of like one of those, you know, it's almost like
Bad juju.
That's
yeah,
a bad idea.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Hitler thing, but like the Harry Potter Hitler thing.
But again, that's not my question. My question is, did you get on the left arm because they have
No.
left arm? Okay.
No, because
One spot you had left.
I wanted to save one arm for a sleeve, and then one
Right.
arm's gonna be random.
But again, why did you choose the left arm for the random one?
You know, I really didn't
Aye.
go that in depth with
Okay,
it.
I just wanted to know. Sometimes people have a reason. I just wanted to make sure. What was I gonna say? Yeah, talking about like the dark mark and the tattoos. Jerlo's joke would definitely be in Slytherin, so he could get tattooed all the way up. You know.
Yeah, he sure would.
I think you can get tattoos in any house. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
It's just not common. I don't.
I think Hufflepuffs have too soft of skin. I don't think they.
No,
I think it would go right through.
Hufflepuffs are artsy.
I'm
If
also.
anything,
I'm
they-
not saying this because of where the main character is from, but Hufflepuff is the worst house in the Harry Potter Hogwarts.
That's.
Whoa.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Mostly.
They have no one of note. They still have no one of note.
Really?
They
Yeah.
still have no one of note.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Fantastic Beasts 2, Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald review.
Is it Grindelwald?
Grindelwald, yeah, Grindelwald. We'll start with non-spoilers. We'll go around. We'll give you our likes, our dislikes, our recommendations, our pros and cons, and we will give you a spoiler warning, even though this is a prequel. And I hate the tagline of this movie that says the future will change. It won't, because we know which characters live and die, so that's fun. Yeah. So we're gonna do a review. You know, I'm gonna start off because because I usually don't. So why not?
You don't usually start?
No, I usually don't. I find myself going last. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go second and third, and then someone's like, I'll go. I'm like, oh, okay, but you know. It happens.
Travis, take us away.
So, take me away. So, Fantastic Beasts. When I saw it first, okay, I actually have preferences. Big Harry Potter fan. I've always said next to the MCU, just Harry Potter alone, they're the same thing. They don't have a bad movie in there. There's good to great movies in there. I like them all for different reasons. And I have some problems with the rules of those worlds, but we'll say that for a retro one day because I just have a boatload of how laws work and things. And sometimes the rules in this world, they break them quite frequently. So that's a different topic. But Harry Potter in general, I love. Fantastic Beasts I thought was fine. The first time I saw it, I was like, okay, that was alright to kind of, like, I don't know, like, I could say good, but, like, I think it was just fine. I watched it again a long time ago, was not a fan, didn't age well, and I tried again last night, and I fell asleep 20 minutes in. So I can tell you, and I'm a notorious big Eddie Redmayne hater. I have nothing against the man personally, I just hate Newt Scamander. So I've not been excited for this movie.
I'm sorry to interrupt, I'm just really interested. Did you like him in The Theory of Everything?
Yeah, I just think it's a little overrated. I don't think it was an Academy Award-winning performance. I think he deserved a nomination. I don't think he deserved the win with the other people in the category that year. That was my thing. Yeah. Okay. So it's yeah. So I'm sure he's a
recurring thing on the podcast.
I'm sure he's a great guy, but I was not really looking forward to this. And with first Fantastic Beasts, I'd say they got the pass. With this, I can say I can welcome them to the club of Star Wars and Lord of the Rings that I think we are now in the bad prequel territory. I think this is not a good movie. It's very choppy. It's all over the place. There's tons of characters going on. I think there's good performances, but they don't get a chance to breathe because you'll see a character and then you won't see them for another half an hour. And then that character you won't see for another half an hour. I guess particularly as far as new additions, I really like Zoe Kravitz, as I don't know, she's one of the Strange family clan members. I really liked her. I liked Jude Law's Dumbledore, but there wasn't enough for me to be like I was in love with him or disliked him. I was not a fan of Johnny Depp. I think that the character's supposed to come off as intimidating, and I was never intimidated, and even they describe him as seductive. I was never feeling that moment of like he could talk people into things. He just felt very creepy. And the thing is, like, Voldemort to me should be creepy. He's a snake looking guy. He's just like, I'm gonna kill everybody. But this guy's plot is, hey, I'm gonna convince you to come to our side. I'm not really a big fan of many of the characters. I guess the best way to put it is in Deathly Hallows Part 1. One of my favorite scenes in the series is there's a moment in the middle of the movie they just take a break from everything, and Harry and Hermione, they put on a radio and they just dance. There's no there's no words, there's no dialogue. You just know everything that's going on in their respective lives and what has brought them to this point. And it's this beautiful, well done scene because it's just emotional. You know what's going on. This movie, one, doesn't do a scene like that, but it couldn't because we don't get enough time with any of these characters to really get a deep dive. So if that scene happened in this movie, you'd still be like Credence, he's, okay, I think they say in the trailer, but if not, his story is I'm looking for my family. And that's all he has, just I'm looking for my family. It seems like anybody talks to him like, I need to know who I am. I need to know who I am. And that's just one little thing. And if that's where you're going to go, fine. But they had, 5 characters from the previous film come back? And then they had a bunch more, which I don't think were needed. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was not a fan. Again, there's some like big reveals in this movie that are very head scratching, and I think I don't understand the route we're going with this. So yeah, I was not a fan, and I was quite bored, to be honest. And if I did not have my significant other that was in these movies in the podcast, even if I was on the podcast, I would be out. But I know you have to see these movies. So, but if I did not have her, I would dip and wait for the next 3. And I guess my last point is, I think J.K. Rowling needs to, Rowling, I never say it right. She needs to stop writing these movies. She didn't write a single one of the Harry Potter movies. She wrote the books and then adapted to them. I think that's what needs to happen. She wrote Fantastic Beasts by herself, and this feels like a book, but that's the thing. This is not a book, it's a movie, and you only get 2 hours. And I feel like either she needs to bring on someone to help, or she needs to let go of the reins, because that's what happened with all of Harry Potter. And same thing with David Yates. He needs to go. He directed both Deathly Hallows, but I think that's because those books are so good. That's why those are good. I'm not a fan of Order of the Phoenix. That's my least favorite Harry Potter movie, which he started off. And I'm not a fan of these ones. So I think Yates needs to go, and I think Rowling needs a film screenwriter to come along and be like, hey, you know, like when Jessica and Emily complained, this is in the book, but it's not in the movie. Sometimes that's a good thing, because this felt like a book where it's like they're trying to put in too much, but we only got 2 hours. And yeah, just a cluttery mess for me, and I was not that entertained. So that was my non-spoilers. And I would not recommend it for non-Harry Potter fans. That's what I would say. So there you go.
Let's see. Do you want to go next?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, this is an interesting movie. So I was rewatching Fantastic Beasts the last couple days. Obviously, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. I think all of us are. We just grew up with it, and it's just close to our hearts.
I don't think Kirkland is.
Really?
I don't think so. I could be wrong.
Oh, I just mean like most people in our
Okay.
in our general age
Yeah.
group seem
Yeah.
to we kind of grew up alongside those characters in
Mhm.
some ways. Let's see. As for Fantastic Beasts, yeah, I think I was pretty similar to you. Like the first time I saw it, I thought it was fine. It was all right. But I've never really felt the need to go back and rewatch it, and I was rewatching it this week. And I think the big thing for me is there's just not any characters that I really got attached to. The story is all right. There's a lot going on, but there isn't really any characters that just pull me in. I think Eddie Redmayne and Newt Scamander is he's a fun character. He's all right. I don't love him necessarily as like your as your star, your protagonist. You really have to be really interested in his story, and I think I was enough to be interested throughout number 2 here. But there is, as Travis said, a lot of characters in this movie. A couple from the first movie that they brought back that I think are very unnecessary, and the movie would have done well to just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm talking about Kowalski and what's her name? Queenie. Yeah.
I thought you were gonna show Credence because you weren't a big Credence fan the first time we saw recipes. So.
I wasn't, and I'll get there.
Okay.
I think those two characters, like Kowalski, his only purpose in these movies is comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
It's very apparent that that's the case. Almost every one of his lines, about 90% or more, are with the intention of making you laugh, or at least softening the mood. I don't think he really has a place in these movies. I should just get rid of him. I don't think the actor's bad necessarily. I just don't. Yeah. There's nothing there that I watch these movies for magic and wizards and stuff, and there's nothing really that interesting about him. Queenie is, I don't know, there's not really a whole lot of layers to her either. She goes through a story in this movie, and there's one moment I really liked, one scene of hers that I really liked, but nothing else really had me. As for, I think there's a lot of characters that get introduced into this movie. I agree with you, Lita Lestrange. I liked her character because she was actually given some backstory, and she had a couple good scenes. Newt's brother is a pretty boring character. You'd think a character like that would be really good to add more backstory to Newt, right? You'd get like maybe a scene or talk about them as like growing up or something, and there'd be like some relation there. That is not the case. He's kind of just there a little bit.
Well, that's what's frustrating with him and Lita. The way they handle his characters is like, oh, there's some interesting stuff that would go this like with these three, and then the routes they take in the story.
That's why I think I like Lita, because hers, you actually get backstory with her and Newt in it, so it emphasizes both those characters. Yeah. But the brother is kind of just a tag along, which doesn't really need to be there. And he also had some really cheesy acting during like action scenes, just doing some crazy faces and swatting around. Some people are great working with, some actors are great working with CGI and green screens, and some aren't, and I think he is not. As for Dumbledore, I think he was alright. It didn't feel like the Dumbledore that you've seen from the Harry Potter movies growing up.
Which one?
Yeah, I mean either of them really. It just, and even from the books, I think Dumbledore in the books is kind of like, he's pretty goofy and like zany at times. I didn't really feel like they did that in the Harry Potter movies. I think he was a little more serious, but he always had a great connection with Harry, and him in this movie, he's all right, and obviously he has like deep connections with Grindelwald, and I was disappointed that they didn't really go into that enough. They pretty much just mentioned it very briefly and scratched the surface. There's one scene in particular I'll mention in the spoiler section that I really liked with him and that relationship, but it's very much like passed over. And the title of this movie is Crimes of Grindelwald, and he's introduced in the movie, and obviously he's there at the end, but he's really just forgotten about throughout. I was really, really let down with that character, and that was, I mean, he's the title of the movie. Like, I feel like they really needed to go more into him, give him some backstory, give some more like scenes, like you were saying, make him intimidating. Where I just felt like he was a very flat character.
Like, I won't spoil it, but you can count on one hand how many scenes he's in this movie, which is crazy to think about that he's like the main villain and the main, like you said, the title of the movie, and he's not in it that much really.
I was expecting that just based on the title alone. So
and he's in all those trailers too. Those trailers, he's all over the place.
Well, I mean, it's Johnny Depp, right? That's just what.
True. Yeah.
Let's see a couple. What other characters are in this movie? I guess there's the Nagini character. Once again, another character that they introduce a few characters, and the characters they bring back, they don't get like much to really develop their character. Like, it's just very basic stuff, and some of them, like Nagini, for example, like really cool costume, like she looks great, but and even like the CGI around her ability is pretty cool.
Her costume.
Okay, that's fair. I thought it was really nice.
I'm dead in the middle. Sometimes I liked it, and sometimes it looked really cheap. So I don't know. I'm really lost.
I thought it was cool. And I thought her like the CGI with her transforming between the snake and herself.
Spoiler, she's a snake.
I'm pretty sure that's in a commercial, like that exact transformation.
I liked that enough, but unfortunately she had no character. She's a great, really interesting concept.
I think she talked like 3 times.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. She's just very silent. And so I mean, there's just no opportunity for me to latch onto that character. So once again, same with the first Fantastic Beasts. There isn't any characters that just grabbed me and had me really interested and had me psyched for seeing what's next. As you said, Credence goes through a pretty wild story in this movie, and I'm excited to talk about that. And there's a couple things that are I think would be big reveals if you're just like a massive Harry Potter fan. I'm not a massive Harry Potter fan where I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a couple names that come up that I know I've heard before, but the significance, it doesn't hit me as much because I just straight up don't remember exactly how they're relevant to the story. So I think those would have a lot more impact had I recently read the books or something. And I honestly, I read 4 of them like last year or something, but still like it wasn't enough for me to be just like super stoked when those names or reveals happened.
I will say I just watched the entire franchise, and there's still a lot of names in here that I don't know that obviously they like spend like there's 2 characters that talk about 5 minutes about 1 character in particular, and I was lost because I didn't know who this character was and what the name was, and that was kind of tough. Which obviously wouldn't get Jessica probably better for you, but that was tough for me at times where I feel like we're talking about stuff and it's like in French because I don't know who this is and what it is,
Exactly. What else? So I think CGI, like I like seeing the different beasts and stuff. So I thought that was pretty good. Once again, there was a couple times where the CGI and the people holding these creatures, petting these creatures doesn't fit. It's not it's not seamless. But there is some scenes and there's some really interesting creatures in this movie that I really like to see as well. So overall, it was all right. Obviously, it's they've confirmed there's 5 of these movies. This one didn't get me chomping at the bit to see the next one. That's all I got for non-spoilers. Take it away.
That's like a...
I will just jump on. I was going to mention the same thing where they still don't quite have the interaction between the CGI animals and Newt down pat. Like, there's definitely some scenes where he's holding his hands and they just don't chop in the animal the right way. And it's just like...
They gotta get Andy Serkis in there and have old Andy,
Andy has the niffler?
Yeah.
Oh, I'd love that.
That would be amazing.
Oh yeah, he'll go win some awards for it. So Andy, come on, you're not busy, I'm sure.
Start a petition.
Yeah.
I do want to just jump on that was something I noticed that still bothered me. So I guess starting from the top, so the first one, I love Newt. Like, Eddie Redmayne was my man. I loved his character. I thought his awkwardness was super cute, which I know you guys really hated, but it worked for me. And I
don't think Dylan hates it.
Well, I think there's like an awkwardness to it, but I think what I realized watching this movie is that he's kind of intentionally supposed to be kind of like on the autism spectrum. That's the vibe I was getting, that was like the intention with the character. And that's something I didn't really think of in the first movie.
Yeah,
but I think that's very apparent in this movie, that's the character they're trying to go for.
See, I think in the first one, it was a nice amount, like it was subtle to the point where it was kind of cute. And I feel like this one, they were on the internet and they're like, oh, people love this. Let's try and fucking amplify
They doubled down on it big time. I don't know if he looks a single person in the eye in this movie because he just looks at their chin.
They're like, whatever angle you had with your head tilted in the first movie, we're gonna need you at 30 degrees.
The whole time I was just like, it's like to the point point now where it's kind of painful. Like it's not.
I will say there is a camp on the internet that is on the dark web with me that we despise. It's just for me. Even the first one was too much. So this one I felt like a guy who had a meth overdose, and then they gave me more meth, and I was like, oh boy. Like, but even then, does it feel like this is not spoilers? Does it feel like he's in it less than the first one? Like a screen time, I mean. Like I feel like there's so many characters. Like I felt like he wasn't in it as much as the first one. I'd have to try to watch the first one again.
A little bit less, but
okay.
Not,
maybe I was wrong.
Right?
I have to watch that again. I know I will at some point in my life. But it felt like he was there less for me, honestly. But yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Or maybe it's because he was in scenes, but there's a lot of him in the background while other characters are monologuing,
possible
exposition. So yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like there is a lot of scenes where there's other people talking and doing things, and he's there.
Yeah.
But he definitely, you know, in the other one he was like the main star. In this one he's like 30% of the star.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I do still like him, and I just think that they went too far with this one. They didn't kind of just let him do his awkwardness. They told him, you know, amplify it, and it got to the point where even for me I was like, ee. So, there's that. I will agree, tons of characters, way too many. There's some that, like, did we even hear some of them talk?
Well, Nagini, I think Nagini, I just heard her say credence. That's all I can remember her actually saying.
No,
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a lot more film for all these characters, but you know, chop it down to a movie in the theater, they probably cut a few of these characters, but the stories wouldn't work without them, so they still had to put them in the movie.
Extended edition.
See, but the thing is, there is some characters that it could have worked without, and that's
100%.
Yeah, but I think you would need to retool the story a bit, right? You need to change a couple of the characters' motivations and like reasons for doing certain things, right?
I don't think you
like
actually
can't,
need Nagini.
if you just take Kowalski out of this movie, some of Newt's character, his story doesn't make like perfect sense, but it's pretty easy to rewrite it so that he still can like do all the things without that character.
That's not the character so much that I'm talking about, because you already know him. He is already a known character. You know his story, so you know, you're not just like, here's this new character, you get no information, no background, but they're here for this movie, and you're going to see them in a whole bunch of scenes.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not so much like, you know, we know Queenie and Tina, so for, you know, that's okay, you can keep them in there, but, you know, we're getting introduced to Grindelwald's, like, however many followers that...
There's a lot of them.
And it's just kind of, some of them keep reappearing. I'm like, I don't know your name. I don't know.
I appreciate the hot French one. That was about it. You know.
I want her hat. I want that hat.
I can make a joke, but delete the tweets.
I want her hat and her name.
There you go.
That was good. So, yeah, I think that I'm hoping that this is going to be kind of that, the Order of the Phoenix of this movie, that it's getting all the information and it's the turning point that the next one will be better.
This was a big setup movie. I feel like this movie was just set up, and that's tough to watch for me.
It was really.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of setup, and because that's how I feel every time I do a Harry Potter marathon when I get Order of the Phoenix. I'm just like, fuck.
It's boring. There's a lot of just talking.
I haven't watched that one in so long. I gotta rewatch that somewhere.
It's the setup. It's the turning point of everything going dark and shit starting to fall apart.
It's a whole movie just to set up Sirius getting killed. Spoilers for Harry Potter. But literally, that's what it is. It's just, the best thing about Order of the Phoenix is those last 15 minutes are great. Like, the whole sequence, the fight, it's phenomenal. But it's just 2 hours of foreplay into 15 minutes. Like, here's a great battle scene. And, like, for the wizard guy to be like, oh, Voldemort is back. Even though there's hundreds of signs in the world that Voldemort is back, this one important guy doesn't believe anybody until, oh, I saw him, he's back. Order of the Phoenix.
So, anyway, and that's, you know, we'll get to it, but I mean, this movie kind of leads up to this, you know, ending that is supposed to make you want to watch the next one. So I'm hoping that this is going to be kind of the same as Order of the Phoenix, that the next one, you know, I don't want to get my hopes too high, but that the next one will have all of this kind of information that's already been handed to us, so we don't need to spend 2 hours meeting new characters and doing this and that. It'll just be into it we go.
Hopefully.
So you didn't really enjoy this either, because Emily didn't really enjoy it that much either.
I did not. I mean, there was moments that I did enjoy, but a lot of the humor, it didn't hit for me. Like, you know, you hear the joke and you're like, I was supposed to laugh at that. So, you know, and as I said, there was a lot of characters. Eddie's character was just, it was overly awkward to the point where it kind of hurt me. The characters that I liked from the other one, like, you know, I did enjoy Credence, and
Me too. I really liked him, and I was really mad when they looked like they killed him off, and I was like, man, this is a great character here, and they do very little with this character here.
Very little.
Like, there's a big moment, but it's like just kind of feels tacked on, just to like, oh yeah, the next movie he'll have a big moment, but this is just for him to be skulking around.
Yeah, it kind of just delays the inevitable.
And, I will say that I didn't think Johnny Depp was as noticeable in this one as like the first time I watched Where to Find Them. Yeah, I was like, oh,
Where to Find Them?
Such a weird title.
Awkward.
Yeah. Goblet of Fire with Feast also sounds cool. Where to Find Them? Sounds like some weird town in Timbuktu or something. Oh, where to Found Them down there?
Anywho. What was I even talking
about? You're enjoying Johnny Depp more this go around.
Oh yeah, so the first time I saw him, I was like, holy shit, like that is Johnny Depp. There's no way I'm gonna unsee this. This one I actually found that I wasn't just constantly thinking, this is Johnny Depp. Like, it wasn't as bad as Detective Pikachu with Ryan Reynolds.
I hear he's in the next Fantastic Beasts.
Oh, no. Is he a beast?
He's Snape's father.
No, they're just importing Pikachu into this movie.
Whoa.
And I actually, there wasn't enough Jude Law to really, like you said, form an opinion. Can get into more. I have other comments on that when we get deeper into this, but I definitely, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I don't know that I see that. But after watching it, I was kind of like, you know what? Mm-hmm. He does actually really fit the role. So I will give him that I was like, I could see him aging.
What Dumbledore do you prefer?
The ones...
like the OG series.
I definitely like the OG.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to. He was like...
I wish he lived. I wish he lived because I find the other Dumbledore actually kind of creepy at times.
Aggressive.
He's a little weird, but like there was such like a awe about that first Dumbledore. Like you felt
he was a very wholesome individual.
But you felt like he was keeping secrets, but you could still trust him. Where the other Dumbledore, like I'm not trusting this guy at all. Like, and he's just a little fucker. Like, I can't wait to talk about Dumbledore in this movie too. But I'm the same as you. Like I liked what I saw, but I don't know if it's like that's Dumbledore because I need to like same thing. If you're expecting a movie about Grindelwald and Dumbledore, even though half of them is in the title, this is not the movie. I think the next movie will be, but this is very much just like
you'll have to read some fanfic online.
Yeah, you're not gonna get it here. Yeah.
So, I think more or less that's kind of what I have to say without doing too many spoilers. Mm-hmm. Just to throw it out there. My sister said that this is like one of her favorite Harry Potter movies.
Nice.
So she's 12. Man. Yeah, for the listener.
It must be nice. I remember those days. Every movie I just loved. I saw.
So
the prequels were the greatest thing in my
they were great.
Revenge of the Sith, Hayden Christensen. Oh man, I loved it. Then at age like 14, watched it again. What happened? Only 2 years. Like what happened? And then. Taylor though. Finding Neverland. He's never lost it. I want to be Taylor.
You know that scene in Step Brothers when he's like, you know what, Dale, never lose your dinosaur. Like, Taylor never lost his dinosaur. He still got it.
So yeah, her review was that there's lots of cool new beasts. Mm-hmm. They were very cool to see and very creative, and she enjoyed seeing inside of his case again this time. Oh, that reminds me of someone else that I totally forgot existed. That we can...
Like spoilers?
Like a character that... Why were they there?
Spoilers? Oh yeah, I know what character you're talking about. Yeah. Even though I got popcorn during that scene, I know what character you're talking about.
So anyway, so I mean, if you have younger kids that are like Harry Potter fans, it's a good movie for them to go and, follow the storyline a little bit, but it's visually appealing for them.
I will say I'm still a bit surprised she liked it as much, because there's long periods where characters are talking for a very long time with no magic. And I was getting along too, so I'm surprised. That's good that a kid can enjoy it. So.
I mean, you could ask Ellen. I mean, there was a couple times, like, I could hear her, like, squeaking her straw, like, playing with her slushie. So there was times when, she did kind of zone out of it.
I wish I had a slushie.
You can ask for a slushie.
Can you?
Yeah, you don't have to get popped. You can ask.
I didn't hear your sister laughing a whole lot at the jokes.
Internal.
Yeah, I think she laughed at one or two, but it was not, the jokes didn't land for her either, so.
But she still loved it, so good.
8 out of 10 from her.
8 out of 10?
8 out of 10 from her.
She dropped a number. Wow.
That's pretty
I
good.
don't even drop numbers.
She said that Fantastic Beasts was a 7, so, there's the relativity score from...
It's going up and up.
Yeah.
I didn't say if I'd recommend it or not. I would have said, I'd recommend it for big Harry Potter fans, but hearing that, you're not so hot on it and Emily wasn't a big fan either, then maybe just being a Harry Potter fan isn't enough.
Well,
so.
because that's what I feel like, which we'll talk about sports. I feel like there's a few things I put in here to try to like goat you fans. Like you're gonna get really excited. It's the same way in Rogue One when they showed like C-3PO and R2-D2. It's like you're gonna love this. Like no, I don't. They're not supposed to be here. Like this.
That's
just because they're a robot. Yeah. Like there's one moment where they show a really important thing in the Harry Potter series, and it's like, okay, cool. I know this guy has this thing. Let's move along and. Yeah. Should we get into spoilers then?
Let's do it.
Because I want to. So we're starting with big spoilers because I want to start 3, 2, 1. This is your last chance. If you've not seen it, tune out. If you don't care about spoilers, then continue or come back when you're done. So this is your last chance. I want to talk about some of the big reveals because I want to get your gauge on it because I've been spoiled on the Credence thing because I monetize it or I monetize on Twitter. I monitor Twitter. I do that. Some fans had seen it earlier this week. And they were not happy about it, and I wanted to get your gauge on him being just randomly a Dumbledore, that we've never heard of, never been established, but he's now...
Have we never heard of him?
No, he's always just had a sister.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I know, because when that was dropped, I was like, what? Like, trying to rack my brain. Like, I sat there actually thinking. I was like, when was this person mentioned?
Yeah.
Never. Not one single time.
Right.
Same thing...
That's so... That and Nagini, it's just like J.K. Rowling just going back.
Oh, just wait for it too. And McGonagall's in this movie. Even though in the lore, she's not born until 1935. This movie takes place in 1927. This is the creator of the series just retconning her own stuff. She's turning into George Lucas. You remember when George Lucas got his own editions, he started changing stuff? She's doing that right now. You guys are going to turn on her. Just wait.
It's scary.
Maybe this is like McGonagall's mother.
I don't think so. She even came in and said...
McGonagall is a last name.
I don't. That's true. They never said Minerva.
We'll wait till the next one and find out.
You know what? I will give.
No, but she had the same likeness.
She did, and she says the same thing when she comes to the class. She yells something that she yells.
She has like that,
yeah. But let's start with Credence. Let's start there because that's also a huge reveal. That's like if you're non-spoilers and you didn't care, that's the cliffhanger of this movie is like, even though Grindelwald says I need to make him come to me, completely. As a hypocrite and just goes to his roof and is like, look at what I have. Even though the character's like, I'm not going to go talk to him, then look at what I have. And the big thing is he's courted Dumbledore's brother to be on his side, and that's how he courts him. He's like, I can tell you where you are. Gives him a wand, tells him he's a Dumbledore. They do this whole thing with the Phoenix, and that's how that. So Jessica, you start. How do you feel? Because that was a big cliffhanger. That's leading us into fantastic whatever.
I don't know that I would call it a cliffhanger because, I'm really not like, holy shit, like, what's gonna happen?
I think it's supposed to be because you're supposed to be like, where has he been this whole time? Why didn't we know about him in the books? Like, I think that's what they're trying to go for.
And I don't think that landed because it's really more like, okay, well, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't spend like an equivalent of a year of my life reading these books and watching these movies multiple times for this.
You nerding out on those didn't help you with that reveal.
No, it did not.
Fuck the fans, quote J.K. Rowling.
I still don't actually think I know how I feel about that. It could just be,
Mm-hmm.
who knows, maybe it's not a legit thing. I think they're using the Phoenix to try and prove that, this is what we're actually doing, but maybe it's not actually.
I couldn't have told you that Dumbledore had a sister. I just don't remember that kind of detail. But I don't know. It's just kind of annoying to go back on all these things. Like those movies are fine, and you're just smudging them by adding these like unnecessary details. I don't know. It just kind of changes. It just changes the whole story.
Yeah. Well, that's why I would speak as the Harry Potter fan. Like, to my comparison, that's some of the stuff I hate with Star Wars is like. Around time Obi-Wan and Luke where there's like 3 other Jedi. They never talk about the movies, but in these animated shows they're around, they're doing all this stuff, and it's like, it makes these characters feel less special because like, why weren't they ever mentioned? And that's why like, I'm trying to think from a lore perspective, like, I think the only thing it does is it makes more of a conflict between Grindelwald and Dumbledore, like, I have your brother, right? But I feel like they could have found a way to write that just them already being, to me, them being lovers and fighting is huge enough, but it feels like the movies aren't really going to tackle that. They don't even fucking kiss in this movie. I'm sorry to swear, but like, they don't even kiss. They presented the opportunity, like, in this big mirror scene, like, here we go, and like, I get it, but even then Dumbledore's like, oh, we're more than brothers. lots of TV shows with straight males will say like he's more than a brother to me, and that just means they're really good friends. So to me, if it's not like our podcast or like the book readers, you can just take that as like, oh, they're chummy. But like the fact that they're former lovers fighting, I think that's super intriguing. But it felt like they thought it was enough, so they need to add his brother in here. It's like a Maury Povich situation.
Well, the thing is too, talking about how they knew each other when they were younger and this and that. When did Grindelwald find out that it was Dumbledore's brother? Because obviously they didn't know when they were younger, or else.
Well.
Like it just is awkward.
Well, I guess the only way I could take it is that somehow, because they might make Dumbledore, because he's always shady, that he did know about Credence, and he just didn't. Because that's the only way I could think, right? That maybe he told Grindelwald that in confidence, or in the midst of passion, something like that. Like, he talked about, I had a brother, but like, yeah, Pillow Talk, like, that's the way I'm thinking of it, because he did say, like, your own brother's, like, conspiring against you. So I'm taking it as Dumbledore, shady, shitty guy, knew about his brother, maybe let him off to the side. Grindelwald's like, oh, well, I know who your brother is, and he's a bad guy.
I guess Credence is only, like 20s, and Dumbledore is supposed to be however old, so maybe his parents like went at it again after he moved out and went to school,
Possible.
Well, then is it gonna be like a half brother thing, or was that Dumbledore's mom on the boat as well?
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, no, because I don't think Dumbledore's mom died in a boat, because she's buried at the cemetery.
So then maybe they have the same father then. That's probably what they're gonna do.
Could be.
Yeah. Wait a sec. Oh yeah, because they switched the baby, which was we can't wait to get in that storyline.
The thing with that reveal, and I mean other ones, is just like the pace in this movie is very strange, because the first half or even more of this movie is like it's just some people looking for Credence, and then it's Newt looking for Tina, and that's like the plot of the movie for the first half or more, and then like all these reveals are just packed into like a very small like 20-minute segment of the movie. So it's a lot. It's a lot for me to try to understand everything that's going on. Like, I would need a chart in front of me in order to kind of follow it.
Yeah.
I'm left a little bit confused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, do we have anything more on that twist?
You guys said it all.
I don't know. I'm also wondering too, as far as like, is that Fox then? Like, is
which story?
The Phoenix? Like, is that Dumbledore's Phoenix, and then...
I thought they all had their own specific Phoenixes.
His Phoenix's name is Fox?
Yeah, F-A-U-X.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Unless I'm pronouncing that wrong. Highly possible.
Who knows what this is?
Even if you pronounce it another way, I still wouldn't have known.
She'll change in the next movie.
Because Phoenix, they don't die, right?
Yeah.
So,
right.
I mean...
Well, that's what I mean. So they say you can just summon, one of my favorite moments in Harry Potter history, and then the Phoenix takes them. Yeah. So to me, is that always the same Phoenix that comes and gets him?
For Dumbledore?
Yeah.
Dumbledore family.
So that's what I wonder. Was it just this? Yeah, is this one Phoenix, or do they all separately have their own Phoenixes?
No, see, I think that's what they're saying.
In the next movie, they're going to reveal that Phoenix's family tree.
Oh yeah.
That's a whole lot of
That's
Phoenixes.
the father of these.
That's the father.
That one, only the men are the Phoenixes and the females are feathers?
Yeah. So I guess, so you're saying it's probably just one Phoenix for them all?
I think so, because they were saying that the one disappeared. Dumbledore's dad or granddad's or whatever, his Phoenix disappeared when he died and never came back.
See, that's why I took it as they all have their own individual Phoenix. Even though they may look identical, I took that as like, that guy, Dumbledore's dad passed away, so that Phoenix went off because it's no longer
Well, it's like a reincarnation.
Yeah,
right?
and that's why he found the baby Phoenix as just like the little tiny burb.
But then he has another big Phoenix.
No, I'm talking about...
Oh no, that turned into the... Yeah.
So
what happens if they summon a Phoenix at the same time?
I like you doing the
I have to. It's the most pimp moment ever. I don't like that Dumbledore, but every time, like, so that's the thing of like Dumbledore's on one side and Credence on one side, and they both summon a Phoenix. What happens?
Well, see, that's why I'm wondering, like.
That's how Credence is gonna die. He'll just explode.
There can only be one.
Yeah.
So. Well, I guess we'll see what happens with that, but I don't know why it bothers me, but I mean, it's a whole additional character that has never had any bearing anywhere in the series that now is changing the future of the
You know what it's like? Here's a quick spoiler for Jigsaw. It's like in Jigsaw, when they just add in a new accomplice who's been there the whole fucking time, running all these experiments, running everything. You know, Amanda was useless. This guy knew everything.
And Jigsaw had a nephew, don't forget.
Of course.
Yeah, they added that little tidbit. Yeah, and I would assume that, like, because it's a prequel, he has to die, right? Because if Dumbledore doesn't mention him, he isn't factored into Harry Potter movies or books, he's not around, so clearly I think he's just going to go like go so bad that Dumbledore will feel like kind of embarrassed that he has his brother that helped Grindelwald and like maybe killed some people. So I imagine that's what's gonna happen. So Credence will die, and I do have a theory. I think Newt's gonna die as well.
At some point?
I do, because all he had to do was write that book. He's already written that book, so I feel like there's a good chance he may
I guess he's never
himself.
mentioned in Harry Potter, really. It's just mentioned that he wrote a book.
So I think he'll bite the dust at some point. So and that's a
big emotional scene.
That's a huge thing I need to point out. That I
crying over it.
Oh boy. So I've been getting triggered recently with some Harry Potter rules. The finale of this movie triggered me big time with whatever was going on with Grindelwald's fire. I don't understand why some wizards could fight it off and some couldn't, and why there's so many people just standing there that he doesn't just throw stuff at. Why could Lita, not fight off the fire like the rest of them could? Why wouldn't Grindelwald just take them all out at the same time? It was very frustrating, and it was just plot armor all over the place. And back to, because maybe we can talk about them, this is what I meant in the non-spoilers. Yeah, they used Lita well, but there's so much more they could have mined with, like, obviously her and Newt had a relationship, and they killed her, and they took that all away.
They killed her.
Yeah, they took that all away.
They started that relationship in the first one.
Yeah, he has a picture of her.
Yeah, and they talk about that, and so, excuse me, sorry. I'm amazed that they did kill her off, because, they have this lead up to it, and then to just end it right away when there's, there was obviously so much more they could do, especially if they're saying they had this childhood connection all the way back to Hogwarts.
And they're making 3 more movies. It'd be different if they were going one at a time. I'd say, they're kind of planning out as they go. But if they are planning 5, she could die in the next one or the 4th one. Like, I feel like that dynamic.
Well, technically, we don't actually know she's dead, I guess, do we?
Well, we thought Credence was dead, and he came back, so.
It's classic.
So he could have, taken her with him.
Hostage or something, yeah.
So,
but if she is dead, I'm very upset by that, because I thought had a lot of potential, and she was good. And if they did just kill her off like that, that sums up my frustrations with this movie. Anything that's I'm enjoying or starting to enjoy, it's cut and it's gone, or there's a weird twist, and I'm like, oh, no.
On the whole plot, inconsistency, something that actually really bothered me in this one is no one says Avada Kedavra. It's
all the mind, whatever.
Yeah.
But I did learn via internet that, because I've been looking at some stuff, that if they're strong enough, they don't have to say the words. They can just
Voldemort was not strong enough.
He was doing it for show, I guess. I'm with you.
It was always a big rush to get it out. He always said it so fast, he had to yeah, exactly.
He do the whatever this pose, no other person. It's almost like Dumbledore's. It's close. He just has his hands on the outside.
And he's always got his pinky up with his wand too.
Yeah. And clean pits all the time. So.
And I mean, the thing is, if you're gonna go from having a series where you have to say every spell to all of a sudden no one has to say anything, it had to be before when Harry was learning for the Goblet of Fire, it had to be Accio Firebolt, it had to be specific. And in this one, there's one scene where Lita just goes Accio, and what she wants just comes to her, and it's like, oh, okay, so.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I was triggered by some of that stuff too. Because let's talk about Lita a bit, because we talked about her. I don't have anything more to add other than, there's 2 common themes in the world. After Game of Thrones, you could see incest in a lot more TV shows and movies, and I have a theory that after Mother, there's a lot more movies and TV shows that feature babies getting killed. Because I feel like since we've seen Mother, I've seen 3 or 4 movies where babies are getting killed left, right, and center. Hollywood is not scared to kill babies anymore. That was always a line. Actually, 2 babies die in this movie. Because they abracadabra that kid who's maybe he's 1 or something, or 2, but still.
What's the other one we're talking about? Oh,
the one in the boat.
Chorus, Lestrange.
For some reason, I was just thinking of the 1-year-old. I forgot about that baby.
Yeah, so two little kids.
Baby's important.
That baby cried. He was annoying.
I really liked it. I liked her, and I liked that we did get backstory on her. My problem was because obviously they knew she was either going to go away or they're going to kill her. I thought the backstory of her, it was all crammed in one section, and then it would go away, and it was all crammed. There was the pacing was very poor, and just a little thing that triggered me. I hate the whole time. Her half-brother was monologuing the whole time about how Credence is his brother. And she has proof that it's not the brother, but she just let him go on for 5 minutes.
That was a very strange scene. It just didn't feel like actual characters.
No.
Right? It just felt like some strangely written. Maybe that would work in a book or something.
All you gotta say is, hey, that's not him, I got proof. Same thing as Eddie Redmayne. The whole time he just couldn't spit out that he wasn't engaged. It took him 10 minutes to talk to Tina, like, no, I want you to be happy, but I should be happy. Just say you're not engaged and she's gonna jump your bones. Like, let's do this. Like, that, it felt like stuff was dragging on like a book, and that's why I wanted to
and it's also really annoying too, because you do spend a giant chunk of this movie, you know, seeing her relationship with Newt at Hogwarts, seeing the situation with the boat, you know, giving her this depth.
Whose boat was it? Dumbledore.
All this depth and relationships, and then to just kill her off. Like, why do we waste all our time? Like, I get it's
too bad because she was one of the better characters.
I think that's why, because let's say she is kill off. I think that's the way to try and do it. This is how we're gonna feel sad as we've learned all this about her. But it's like, no, kill off one of the characters we had in the previous movies. Then, you know, kill off Queenie, because I can't wait to talk about her. Or kill off Tina. But like, to kill off this character, that's what it felt like. They just gave her backstory, so they try to pull on our heartstrings. But it didn't work for me, because like, I still just met her, and I was really rushed, and she was not even in the movie that much. Like, all of them aren't in the movie that much either. And it sucks. I really liked her.
It's spread thin.
Well, this is jumping around, but as what I was talking about with the two main characters, like the one guy, it clicked for me. He didn't say anything, but it was because he was Grindelwald in the cell and got his tongue cut out. Now it makes sense to why he didn't say a single word.
Yeah. Silly kitty. Well, what happened with Grindelwald's, like, another weird thing, like, I'm sure we'll talk about Grindelwald, but he had that stooge who was with them, and he's like, are you with us? At, like, the very beginning of the movie, and then at the end of the movie, when he tried to go through the fire, he burned.
So he wasn't with them. Because he said you have to be fully dedicated.
It's like in your heart of hearts. Like you have to be with him.
Okay.
To the very end, eternally.
For the greater good.
It's a strong spell. He's a strong
wizard. Which is why it's supposed to be like shocking that Queenie could go through the fire.
Or Credence, because even 5 minutes later, Queenie's like, he doesn't know if he made the right choice. So he's still unconcerned, but this guy who's been the guy's stooge for hopefully a couple of years, oh yeah.
That's pretty gay.
We talked about,
I just on the fire thing too. I just like the freaking Muggle just like kind of stands there like, shouldn't you be booking shit, buddy? Like,
I was very mad. Why is he at Hogwarts at the end of this movie?
Why is he in this movie?
But even then, okay, let's say he's there because he wants to get his like fiance girlfriend back, right? At the Hogwarts part, why do they need him at all? And there's another thing that really bugged me. They wiped his memory at the end of the movie, and then how they start this way? Spell didn't work. Wow.
Yeah, can you confirm that's how the spell works?
You're gonna tell me, and I've seen Harry Potter series, every spell works like to a T. I've never seen it backfire other than like broken wands and stuff like that, or deflects. And now all of a sudden, because of plot armor, no, it didn't work on me.
Like, I'm curious, is that how the spell works? Like, if you have good memories, they aren't gone?
Not that
I've never heard of.
Because Lockhart uses it on a bunch of wizards to wipe away their memories so he can write his book. I'm sure they had good memories.
That's...
Oh!
I will... Okay, totally off topic again. I really like how they were in Lockhart's office though, like they were reusing different rooms, so it was kind of...
When were they in Lockhart's office? I didn't know this.
Dumbledore's class that he was teaching.
Oh yeah, when
on the thing.
Lockhart, most underrated character next to the Niffler in the Harry Potter series.
Yeah,
I love the Niffler.
Yeah, you've already called being Lockhart for the murder mystery, have you not?
He's so good, and I'm so mad they didn't bring it, because I know in the books he has like a little cameo where he's just like crazy pants. So mad they never did that in the movies. He's like...
That whole scene where you meet Neville's parents and everything too, like, super sad that never happened.
But, you know, in this movie they put in stuff that maybe wasn't needed. So we talked about Newt's brother. I actually liked him more than you guys did, I think.
Really?
I thought he was fine. I thought we didn't get enough of for me to like him or dislike him. I agree with you on the face acting. Another thing that didn't make sense is this movie starts... He seems very nice to Newt, and he's giving him like, hey, say this. And he even says, like, he pulls him aside as a hug, but really said, like, they're watching you, like, look out. And then later on, when he's talking to Tina, Newt is talking to Tina, pronouns, pal. When he's talking to Tina, he's, like, making it sound like they have a terrible relationship, and Tina's like, would he kill you? And he's like, he's tried many times. And it's like, that's not the feeling I got at all from those two.
I didn't get that, because even when he was chasing, when Newt's brother was chasing them, he like wasn't using any spells. He was just like running after him.
He used one to like put the suitcases in front of them. So
but he had like clear many opportunities before that.
He wasn't abracadabering Newt or anything like that. So like that was strange for me. I didn't mind the actor, but the relationship I didn't understand that. I'm like, are they supposed to hate each other? And then they hug at the end. So I thought that was very poorly done as well, from my point.
Yeah, I just don't understand Like it didn't like if he was not Newt's brother, this movie would be no different, right? Like if it was just like his friend or something.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like his role feels kind of irrelevant. I think it'd be pretty easy to write that character out of this movie because you would think there'd maybe be like some fun tension there with him because he's with Lita and then Lita and Newt had their thing, but that's never gone into. Like you don't get any scenes of that happening.
Because at one point she seemed like she really liked Newt, right? Like Lita. So
Yeah.
there had to be a point where she chose her brother, and maybe they'll do that in flashbacks. But I'm just assuming if she's dead, they'll move forward with the Grindelwald like Dumbledore stuff. So if we never get that, it's like, well, what happened? Why introduce this plot point if we're not going to fully get into it?
This is the time they should go into it because that you have to like get interest in the characters. And yeah, I think we're kind of all interested in Lita, but she's gone now. So now we just have the character that we're not interested in. He's still the one in the movie. What's up with that? That's just a bad idea, right?
Yeah. And even then, you could have, like, even if you killed him and kept Lita, you could have some tension with her and Tina, because then Newt has to choose between his two loves.
Yeah, and there was, like, an opportunity for that in this, with that one scene when Lita finds them in the archive room.
And then those Lady and the Tramp cats come after them.
I actually liked that scene. I thought that was a fun action scene. I really liked that, like, Chinese beast thing that they had with, like, the really long arms. Like, he looked like a Dark Souls boss, and he was doing some crazy shit. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool monster, and that was a fun scene with, like, all the, you know, archives and stuff moving around. And I like that idea, you know, you attack one of the cats and it turns into 3.
Yeah,
so I thought,
hide your cat.
Yeah, it was fun. I like that. But then yeah, you're right. Like there could have been like a fun tension there with Lita and Tina. It's Latina.
Latina.
But
ship it, Latina.
But that didn't really happen because that's kind of at the point of the movie where it felt like, okay, the movie's kind of moving slowly, but now like everything's happening all at once, and it was very rushed.
When all those characters just at the end, all main characters meet up together, that felt like one of the most rushed things ever. They're all
here's my family life.
Yeah.
Well, and too, at the end, they're all standing there, and it's like, I think it'd be best if Newt goes to talk to Dumbledore. And then they, like, turn to go in and go have tea, and everyone else just stands there.
I was so Dumbledore to be like, okay, come in, but no, they're just going to stand there for hours. Like, why is this bubble?
The CGI was not great at that part. Like,
no.
You could definitely see the green screen behind them. It was pretty rough.
Also, because they listed, there was one scene where, like, Grindelwald said, you know, Muggles, no mage, no magique, no cast, or something. It's like, why do all of them legitimately just no magic, but Britain gets Muggles? Like, why is there...
to be cooler. Well, no, because what was the last one? No what? No cat?
There was like one that was like no spell or something, like spell can't or something like that.
The British want to be different, you know? They want to stand out.
Yeah, like, Muggle is the only one that is, like, not quite literally just no magic. It's, you know, you could have come up with some better words than just no cast or no spell or whatever.
Should we talk about Grindelwald now? Because we're talking about, you know,
the big brand.
Yeah, so obviously last movie, big reveal. It was Johnny, like we reviewed before, but Johnny Depp, and I will say big thing as far as the little bit that I watched Fantastic Beasts. Colin Farrell was sorely missed in this movie, and I really wish he was Grindelwald, like the real one, and they could have done some swap because I actually really liked him in Beasts. And yeah, I don't think Johnny Depp is like, I'm not taking like his personal stuff into this because something I just saw like a few years ago, Dylan and I saw it again, it was Black Mass, and I loved him in that movie.
Yeah.
And he is scary in that movie, and that's why to me I thought, okay, he's not doing Jack Sparrow, he's not doing Weird Willy Wonka, this might be a chance for him to get back into that. And I didn't think he was bad, I just think it was kind of bland for me. I don't know if it was the way it was written, I don't think it was. It just, the acting for me, he just never came off intimidating or seductive. It was just, he was just kind of there saying stuff. There's other stuff to talk about when we get to Queenie, but like to me, those scenes, you really have to sell me on why she should turn, even though that was poorly written why she does turn. But I just didn't really get that all. Same with Credence, I didn't understand why you trust this guy, and I think they still didn't do a good enough job of, they're getting into this Dumbledore and Ministry of Magic versus Grindelwald thing, but it feels like just this tacked on thing because he has all these followers, and obviously they're making like Hitler comparisons, right, with him of like, you know, Jewish versus Germany, the same thing, Muggles versus wizards and witches. But I feel like that you should need like a movie, like you need to really get into that. And the same thing too, I don't know if I buy them being worried about tanks and bullets. That's kind of hard for me. It's like that's their pitch, and it's like you guys literally have a spell that could just kill anybody in a second. I don't worry about it at all. I like the idea of an X-Men sort of like, oh, the humans are going to be after us, but I feel like that could work in like a today when we have more technology like as us. But back in the 20s, I don't think they have a shot against the Wizards. But now, we have cell phones, we got Twitter, we got all this
Wizards
stuff.
don't even have cell phones. They have no way to contact
Exactly.
them.
So it's like now, if you did
other than fucking owls, the most inconsistent of messages.
Yeah. If you did like Cursed Child Time, I'm like, I could believe that humans could put up a fight, but at that point, I don't really believe it. And yeah, I thought he was just kind of fine, and I was very disappointed. I've been talking about since I was very disappointed how they handled the Grindelwald and Dumbledore stuff, because, like I said, that's good. And I did like that, and maybe that's the way he's supposed to be with Grindelwald when he's talking to his henchman, maybe. His henchman, when he's like, you just gotta kill Dumbledore. I didn't like that. I thought there'd be tension of they're on opposing sides, but they don't want to kill each other. I pretty much, like, it might be a ripoff, but I wanted, like, Magneto and Xavier of, like, they're on opposing sides, but there is a line where they still love each other, and yeah, they're gonna fight, but they don't try to kill each other, and they try to even protect each other and make team up. But in the first 5 minutes of the movie, he's like, you should kill Dumbledore. Like, oh, that takes the tension up to me, because I feel like he would just kill Dumbledore, even this guy he loves at any moment now. So I was really disappointed all the way around with Grindelwald, I guess. So yeah.
Yeah, I think I pretty much entirely agree. I think, look, so one thing it comes down to, obviously we talked about, like, he has, various henchmen and things, but none of those characters have, like, any personality. They're just, like, classic bad goon kind of characters.
Yeah.
The only scenes you really get with, like, him and established characters is you get a couple scenes with Queenie, one that's very quick, and it's more like a foreshadow of what might happen, so you don't actually get any really interaction there, and then it's her at the very end of the movie in that scene with Credence, which is, it's a very quick scene, so there's not really time for, him to develop all of those characters. So I think, the big opportunity for, getting some information on Grindelwald and his backstory is through Dumbledore, but they don't, I wouldn't even go as far as to say they scratch the surface of it. They just have a couple little visions, one in I like the idea of Dumbledore looking into that the mirror and him,
which you most desire.
Yeah, and seeing that him and Grindelwald, but they didn't, like, there wasn't really a purpose for that scene really, because it was the exact same as what they had shown earlier of, like, that Auror guy, whatever, going up to Dumbledore and showing, like, this proof of, Grindelwald.
It was the exact same, like him being
there was no development between those two scenes. So I desperately wanted, not even, like, obviously there's, like, this relationship that happened between them. I don't really care how graphic it gets, but there was just, like, no, like, I'd love to see it, but I just want to see anything at all from it, right? Like, I just want to see some development, because this, like, once again, it goes back to, like, this is the title of the movie, and there was nothing that really develops this character, gives him that backstory, and Dumbledore is a hugely established character in these movies, and it's, Jude Law is obviously, a well-known actor. It's a great opportunity to show that, and I think they really needed to do it here, because, obviously you guys are comparing this to Order of the Phoenix. I can't make that comparison because I haven't seen the movie in recent times. But that makes sense. That's later in the series when you already have a bunch of established characters and storylines. You're already building towards something. But to do it in the second movie, as, like, having this movie that's like a build up, you can't do that. You can't just neglect Grindelwald in this movie. It doesn't work.
Yeah, especially, when I think, like, the first one you layered up, I don't think the first one was huge, like, oh man, so much action, so much stuff happened, where this was, like, a great movie. And I feel like there's enough people kind of, maybe not more on the positive side, but still kind of on the fence. I feel like they needed a big, like, knockout punch with this one, and I think it might be coming, but that same thing, like, now it's like, okay, the third one, do they maybe get together this night? And to me now, I just feel like it's just going to be them just fighting, though. It's not going to be, even Dumbledore, when he's talking about getting that curse off.
Well, that's the thing, right?
For the blood
The thing that kind of has me a little bit confused as well is in the start of this movie, obviously Grindelwald, it's him breaking out of a prison, or you see that scene where he's going into prison, and, like, all the inmates are just, like, they clearly just hate him because of all the bad shit he's done. But then he, like, already has this established following that's outside, or I guess there's kind of like a time jump at the start of this movie. So maybe
3 months.
I guess it's meant so that, like, during that time he gained a following, but we don't get a point where he is, like, as you said, like, showing that he has this control over people. We don't see him recruiting people. He already has people recruited. So we miss that phase where it's him having to build up power by being badass and, like, taking people out. So we don't get to see that, which is unfortunate. But then, we don't really get that scene, like, the sections where we see why he has this control over people. Yeah. So it's just, like, you kind of have to assume a lot. And the first movie didn't give us anything of it. It was more just like a tease. And then it just, like, skipped that moment in between.
I think it's just supposed to be his ability to talk, which I don't know that there would be a way to show that would make it entertaining, but like they talk about how, 3 guards were gonna let him out, and they cut out his tongue because he was being persuasive.
That's where I need either the dialogue there or in there, because that speech he gives everybody, to me it's like, I wouldn't be buying what he's selling. Same thing with Queenie, then that should be the scene where we see him really do that, but it's only a few lines of like, he says...
For us to be emotionally attached, you have to show us that, right? You can't just tell us how cool this guy is.
So, no, but what I mean more was that I think the time jump would have been okay had they continued to build on what they were saying was how he was recruiting people. Actually showed, the scene of him talking to Queenie, or showed scenes of him talking to any of the people that he's recruited, things like that. Because I get how they were going for it, which is good in theory, but there was nothing to back it up or actually show it in action of him being this sweet talking slide up.
And you kind of see that in the finale when he's in that auditorium, kind of giving that speech, and I thought that was interesting enough because it showed to me that he's not just fully violent, I felt like there was a little bit of dynamic there. I felt like it was...
See, I took that as he was just lying. I didn't take that as he was actually, because he's already in prison for killing a bunch of muggles.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'll have to see when the next movie comes out, how exactly that'll develop. And I could totally see him just being full on evil, but I'm not sure. I do agree that I felt like the stuff with the army and the tanks was pretty weird. That just felt pretty jarring.
Not another war.
Yeah, he's the only guy that said anything about war.
The rest of them don't care.
Yeah, they're like, what is this?
Well, I think that's my problem, because I'll throw it at Jessica because you're more than us, but my problem with the inception of the series was when we introduced Grindelwald and Dumbledore. To me, the most intriguing stuff, other than the fall of Grindelwald, we're not going to see. It's all in the past. So them getting together, the stuff with their sister, and Grindelwald has a big role to play there, them breaking off, and obviously him becoming a teacher, him making this cult following that is an army. I feel like that's all interesting stuff, but it's all in the past. So other than flashbacks, we're not going to get to see that. And that's why for me, I always just wanted for any prequels. They should have just made a Dumbledore series and go from that route, because to me, the only thing we'll see is Grindelwald falling. And that's where I wonder if they're putting Credence in as the replacement for the sister, because they know they can't do that sister storyline. So this is a shoe-in
replacement. They're really putting a lot of weight on Newt Scamander's shoulders as being a really interesting protagonist that you can just pick it up with there and be interested.
Yeah. The thing is, it's not named after Newt Scamander, right? So I mean, it's
it sort of is though, right? It's named after the book that he wrote. That's what these movies are called, Fantastic Beasts, and then subline.
Yeah, but I mean, you can continue to have the movies revolve around Fantastic Beasts and have the movies show these creatures, and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. It's not Newt Scamander and Fantastic Beasts.
But he's the one that kind of deals with the beasts, though, right? So I don't think we're going to get a movie like Dumbledore hunting down the Nephilim or anything. As fun as that could be.
No, but I just... Because you guys are saying how much weight's on his shoulders, and I can just see him slowly getting less and less and less.
Would it be a risk for them just to drop the Fantastic Beasts title entirely and just do something entirely new? Not I'm not saying reboot, but I'm just saying a new title. This could have just been called The Crimes of Grindelwald, and I think enough fans would have been.
What they should have done.
I think enough fans would have known it's Harry Potter. You have the music, you have the logos, because the Beasts. I like the Beasts enough. I think other than Niffler, I think they all kind of just serve as put Newt on a fun adventure here. We don't need him to be
I think there's enough Harry Potter fans out there that you don't need to be worried marketing wise. People are going to know it's the next movie in the Wizarding World.
Yeah, or they can start calling it.
But now have they looped themselves into it now by doing it twice?
Well, they can do a Crimes of Grindelwald, Harry Potter story. They can start going that route, the Disney route. So.
No.
But were we? Anything more to add on Grindelwald?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So one thing I will say, I don't know if you guys know, but the character, the actor, I guess I should say, that they chose to play young Grindelwald in The Mirror is actually someone who's been big on Netflix recently. He's been in The Mortal Instruments for 4 or 5 seasons now.
Okay,
he was in Vampire Diaries, Don't Go to Sleep. So he's actually been coming up in a few things.
So you think he's going to...
I think he's going to have another role, because there's no reason for them to choose someone that's recognizable and starting to create a career for himself just for 2 scenes.
He looks a lot like the Grindelwald, young Grindelwald in the Harry Potter series. except for that they retconned his eyes, because I just watched Deathly Hallows last night and he does not have messed up eyes, Grindelwald, but in this show he does. So.
Hey, modern technology, we got that laser vision correction.
In the 90s? Did they have it in 97? Because that's when
I
Deathly
think
Hallows
they did, but it was just like pretty sketch. Like
they have that
like a 50% chance.
In Azkaban, they're giving it to.
You know what? Maybe he was wearing contacts then. This is not contacts.
Maybe. So you're thinking that there's a chance we might get some flashbacks and whatnot.
For sure.
Okay,
yeah.
I'd be down for that. I hope so. I hope it's.
Oh yeah.
I hope it's.
Give it to us.
I hope it's better pace than what how Lita's stuff was, but I do want the flashback. So maybe we'll just get a whole flashback movie, a prequel to the prequel.
I think they need a lot of stuff happening at Hogwarts for people to remain interested. So I think we'll see definitely some of that.
We did go there twice, so.
I'm gonna throw it out just when thinking about it. Talking about how more stuff needs to be at Hogwarts. I was actually like, this is the thing about doing prequels that everyone knows. We're doing prequels of kids that were there years before, but they have nicer outfits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's a different style where it's actually like got the logo.
It looks more modernized.
Yeah, it's like a really nice outfit.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, what the fuck? Like in 20 years here, they're gonna start going down in style and.
Stock market
When
and
Dumbledore took over as headmaster, he really cut the funding.
Oh, I agree though. When you watch this series, like the people he hires, like that he puts in dark arts, like the defense dark arts.
Yeah, dark arts was always a hard category to fill after he left.
But Dumbledore puts in some of the worst people. Like the fact that there's rumors that Quirrell had some interaction with the vampires really messed up. Dumbledore never sat him down and was like, let's talk about this vampire thing and why you're all messed up.
In the back of your head.
Yeah, exactly. Why do you have this dirt? Like, Dumbledore is one of the smartest guys in the series, but he's also one of the dumbest. Like, he makes so many mistakes all the time, so that's probably it. Like, he just spent budget on something.
Chocolate frogs and candy.
He probably gave it all to what's-his-face and bought the
He just wanted to see the Goblet of Fire happen, so he put all his money into getting that.
Oh, yeah, to kill kids, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was when I shot in non-spoilers, when they showed the Philosopher's Stone. It was like a big, like, you get it? This is, like, Philosopher's Stone. Like, I know, he made it cool, like...
Yeah, but was that one of the names you knew?
Yeah, I kind of forget, like, why he's important.
He was the creator of the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, and what else does he do? Because he has like a pretty big history, doesn't he? Is that all he had? I thought he had more than that.
Like, I think he has a big history, but that like is what he's always referred to in the series. Like, I think like he's a known like a really powerful wizard, this and that. But I think it's like that's his. Like Harry Potter's like the boy who lived, right?
I thought he does all this stuff. I thought there was more going on there.
He ran very popular strip joints.
Because it seemed like I feel like people in the theater were like popping off when they heard that name.
I think it's the same way as like in Marvel when you just see like Stanley with the Watchers. You're just like, oh, these guys are really important because they do one thing: they watch the world. Like I think that's him. Like I did not like his thing where he sees the ball and he goes in the photo frame like, you can do it, Lamel. Like, and then just at the end he shows up with his terrible makeup and they make a force field and. Yeah,
that was kind of weird too, the whole photo book thing going in his 2 seconds of fame.
That for me was just completely, felt like that was fan service to get you guys excited. Like, oh, it's Nicholas Flamel, you know, like get excited, it's a stone, you know, but he didn't need to be in this movie at all, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It could be a lead up to, once again, the next one though, because, you know, he does talk about how he's an alchemist and so he just doesn't die and doesn't eat, so obviously he's going to be around for a couple more years before whatever happens.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True, that could be like an emotional seeing him die or something.
No. It's too funny for me. The fact that they did the handshake joke twice bothered me.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying that's what they maybe are trying to.
True.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what they do with them, but I don't know. I thought it was a fun little homage to the OG.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, you knew the stone was going to show up, but it was still kind of that fun little tidbit. I guess Easter egg?
Yeah, Easter egg.
A philosopher's egg?
Like that, yeah. That's the Easter egg, yeah.
I would just call it fan service. That's pretty much what it was.
I think so. Because to me, the definition of fan service is when you do an Easter egg like that, there's no reason for us to show it. He doesn't need us to show us that. It's just to be like a cool moment, you know? Like, where it's something where...
anyone could have been the guy to say, hey guys, you gotta put your wand in the ground at the end and fight the fire.
That could have been Dumbledore showing up last minute, you know?
Should have been.
What does that mean? That blood thing that they made, that they literally, like, legitimately can't hurt each other. That's what it is, right?
they can't cast a Vada Kedavra on each other.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that's how I took it. Not like a blood pact, like oh we're brothers.
Yeah, it seems like there's some sort of charm.
Because he said we could get this off. So literally, it's like they could throw spells at each other, just wouldn't affect one another. That's the way I took it, right? Was I wrong in taking that?
That's how I took it as well.
Yeah. I would think that they just couldn't cast spells. It's like an unbreakable curse, right?
Mm-hmm.
You physically are forced to have to do it. That's how the magic works.
So clearly, I think that's going to be a big MacGuffin in the next movie.
So I think it's going to be.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to be like they physically can't mentally cast spells or whatever because of this.
Until it's broken, and then I bet that's how the next movie ends. Is them breaking and finally the fourth one will be like we can finally fight.
You know, that's honestly probably.
And then the fourth movie is like an
Finding,
hour of
finding
backstory.
each other. Yeah.
It's like just a flashback for an hour as them making love.
And then the fifth one's just right, Grindelwald doesn't die, so it's just like something, and then puts him in jail, and then we're good to go. So
good to go.
Well, there we go. We've wrote the rest of the series.
The only big there's some other stuff I didn't touch upon, but the only big thing I think I had left to talk about was I was not a fan of what they did with Queenie. You're right that they didn't need those in the movie. One, she doesn't have a single scene with her sister at all. And this is, she joins the dark side. We don't even see Tina looking upset. Like, she lost her sister to Grindelwald. This should be a big thing. Not even a scene together. And the fact that, like, she turned, like, Grindelwald, known Muggle killer, and she's with a Muggle, and she thinks this is going to work out. Like, I know he's doing this whole, like, oh, yeah, we're making all live together. But even the way when he's saying, like, they have a purpose, that doesn't sound like they're going to live free, but she's just like, this is a good idea. Like,
well, it's because he, like, parcel-tongued his way into her mind.
I guess he probably can speak Parcel
Tongue. That totally wasn't how I meant it, but it was how it came out. I would also like to throw out, why the fuck didn't Nagini speak Parcel Tongue at any point in this movie?
Well, because technically...
She didn't speak at all.
Well, yeah, because I think... Because Parcel Tongue is like, it's just like a gift you have, right?
You either got it or you don't.
Yeah, so I think because she's just happens to be turning a snake doesn't mean she'll have that power, right?
Can she not talk as a snake?
I don't think so, no.
She can't, like, hiss?
She can hiss, but but by time she's, because I read into this, by the time she's going to be fully a snake, she's not going to have any human mind at all. So she'll just be hissing and it won't be talking.
That would make sense why it's just a snake in the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Doesn't he talk, Voldemort, like, talk to Nagini?
He just goes like, good, Nagini. But it pretty much just acts the same way a pet would. Apparently in that series, she just lost complete memory of who she ever was. So that's what they're doing. And that's another thing. Sure, that to me is another fan service thing, because Nagini never needed to be some Korean woman that was in this movie. They didn't need to be a physical human, because now they're gonna try and play it up like it's really sad. She's a full snake. I don't care. You know why? Because I knew she was a snake. But yeah, Queenie. Not a fan of what they did there. I thought they made a very lame reason for her to turn the dark side, and she just came off as a very stupid. Weak-minded character. So, and yeah, now we're stuck with Dan Fogler. And I like Dylan said, I like the actor, but he does not need, that character does not need to be in these movies. He didn't even need to be in this one. Now the fact he's going to be in the whole series, just trying.
And he gets a lot of screen time relative to other characters who are kind of more important to the story.
And the fact is,
every single person is more important to the greater cause of
the greater good.
The greater good.
The last thing I'll say about him too is they originally break up because he's about to call her crazy. And she reads his mind, doesn't, and then at the end of this movie, he goes, "You're crazy!" And then she walks away, and he's like, "Come back!" Like, didn't learn at all. Like, and it just felt like in a weird moment for him to call her crazy. Like, and it didn't feel like.
Same with all the tips he was giving Newt, like maybe he's pretty cognizant of how to deal with this kind of thing.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like a crazy, like, "You're crazy for doing it." He's just like, "You're crazy!" Like, it felt like an insult. So yeah, I did not enjoy anything about those two in this movie, unfortunately. So yeah.
The one scene I liked of Queenie when she was in London or France, wherever it was, and she heard Kowalski, so she was trying to find him, and it was raining, there's a lot of people around. She kind of broke down, and she was hearing all the voices. I thought that was a nice scene, but that's pretty much it from her. That was the only thing I really liked, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. I didn't like her in the first movie.
No, me either.
Didn't really need her back. When I saw her, I was like, oh no, get out of here. I don't want to see these two.
Guess who's back?
And yeah, the turn is it's just just unnecessary.
Yeah.
Do you have any further thoughts on her?
She... I feel like if you love someone enough to charm them into marrying you, that, you wouldn't just leave when he comes out and he's like, "I do love you. and I would marry you, but you would lose your entire life.
He has good motivation for not wanting to marry her. I thought it was going to be that he's just not ready to commit this and that. He just doesn't want her to go to prison. That seems like a good reason.
It's a great reason.
Yeah.
And it's like, did you really marry her if she's in prison now?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, if you guys have gotten along well enough to want to get married, I mean, yeah, I feel like if Matt thought I was crazy and I magically heard him thinking that.
And he still wanted to marry you, though.
Yeah, he still wanted to marry me.
That's a keeper.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what
you know what? Thank you for thinking it and not saying it.
That's life lessons, ladies and gentlemen. For you all out there, you gotta find someone that knows you're crazy, or you know they're crazy, and you just accept it. You're just like, well, I love you anyways. Because if you don't, it's just gonna go downhill. And look what happened with even Queenie. She still could be reading people's minds, and it's still went downhill. It's very tough.
I also felt like they didn't call her Queenie every time. Like, she had some kind of weird nickname, or like they weren't pronouncing it.
I didn't pick up on that.
Pronunciation was a little off.
Queenie Wolf.
Queenie Wolf.
Voldaby.
Voldaby.
I don't know what I'm saying here.
It was like I don't know. It didn't sound like Queenie. It sounded.
It was those France accents, you know.
It could have been.
Also, my least favorite line, and this line is probably gonna go in. We have a new category this year, the Golden Geeks. It's like gonna be our best meme moment of the year. So moments that are like bad movies. When Grindelwald is about to disappear and he goes, "I hate France." Yeah, it was not needed. I don't know why he needed to drop that line as this like intimidating villain. He needs to quip. I don't know. So yeah, if you guys have anything to add, I think I've said everything I need to on this movie. But if you have anything, I still don't like Newt. I don't think I've stressed that enough. Still not for me. I'm ready for him to die. Opening credits in the next movie, and let's just pass it to Jude Law. Let's go. You know, let's get young Tom Riddle bopping around. You know.
I'll throw out that I really hate that they're doing the prequels and the prequels. It just like we get these new characters, and then we get characters that don't look like the characters playing the younger version of the characters. And you know, what if we get to the point where we get now? So now we even have the younger version of Dumbledore, who doesn't quite look like Dumbledore, who doesn't quite look like our Dumbledore.
Well, technically, this is 30 years before the first Harry Potter, or no, sorry, it's like 60 years. So he could change quite a bit. McGonagall, I don't know what's happening there. If that is the true McGonagall, she's like 30 when she's not even supposed to be alive.
She's also like half cat, and they have multiple wives. So
that's that. She'll probably use that excuse too.
She's gonna listen to this podcast. you just gave her that.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know. It's so messy.
Prequels, man. I tell you, I hate them for a reason. I don't need them. We don't need them.
Or at least, you know, if you're gonna do a prequel, you don't need to bring in all these characters that we already had. Like, just whole new prequel in the same universe. Like, you know, we don't need to bring in all these characters that we already know, that we already have seen, we have images of.
No other story then.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Or even someone like Credence who's new. Now we know who his story ends because, like, well, he's his brother and he's never been mentioned, so clearly he's gonna be.
Well, maybe I keep saying this is how the future's gonna change because now.
They better not touch that OG series. They better leave it alone. I don't want too much time travel going on. So.
Just change.
Yeah.
One thing I kind of annoyed me is when Newt and Kowalski go into the wizard version of France, and he like throws down that spell to try and track Tina, and it's just like exactly where she was standing, just like very very classic coincidence. Kind of bothered me.
What bothered me in that scene is he knows these are all ghostly images of the characters. And when he sees him, Tina! And then he's like, oh no, it's a ghost. Like,
and then
he realizes.
Licks the fucking ground.
Yeah. I honestly didn't mind that because they're trying to make him weird, so fine. But the fact that he knows he's about to see ghosts and he sees Ghost Tina and he just freaks out.
And yeah, that character that Tina is talking to at like that coffee shop, and then he has that monologue later. That's another example of an unnecessary character in this movie, that his role could have been filled by just the other characters. You could have just given all the other characters more content and not had him in there, and I just don't think it would have changed absolutely anything.
Whole wild backstory about his dad and like Lestrange Sr. like pretty much just raping his mom. That's what it is. You just put a enchantment spell on her and take her home, and like. Super dark, super out there. It was 5 minutes of the film. We were just lost in this flashback world, and yeah, we did not need that. We need that because we need a big secret to be who's Credence, and we need that secret, So.
I liked in Newt's house. He had like that kelp monster dragon thing.
Yeah.
I like that.
He's cute.
I thought that was fun. Those are like creative characters.
I still want to know what happened to that chick that he has taking care of his animals.
Really? Because I don't.
Well, no, I lied. Like, I don't necessarily want to know, but like, why did we introduce her and have her? You know, you can tell that she's kind of swooning over him, and then you just never see her again.
I thought it was gonna be something like to try to ameliorate the beasts out. Was like, I'll take care of them while you're gone. Good luck trying to find Credence. But no, he has that case with him still all the time, and he just leaves her a note.
Yeah, well, that's the house. The case goes to somewhere different.
Oh, right. So he did. I guess that was the idea that she's taking care of the animals. So
people don't worry.
So PETA doesn't get mad about who's taking care of baby nifflers. And
just make Kowalski do it. Then every once in a while you can chime in, hey, you know, this monster's doing this.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. And there's like a little handbook he has to follow, and he's screwed up. And
that's a good role for him, right?
And that's something like, and that's where you can have Queenie not be bad. Like, she's helping him, and they're in love, and then it's just like a fun little side quest. Like,
that's
we're trying here,
movie.
and you
right
have.
I want to watch that.
Yeah, and you have Queenie talking to her, what's his name, Newton. He's like, how things going? And in the background, you see Kowalski and the animals.
Yeah, because he doesn't have magic, so he has to do it with like human beings.
Getting the wedgie, you know, like, yeah. There we go. We just figure out a way better way to put them in. They're in it for 15 minutes, and comedic relief that could work.
Well, the real question too, like, there's all these baby nifflers, but he like took the only adult niffler. Like, was that their mom or?
The third one. Yeah.
Like, sorry, kids.
Yeah.
Find your own way to eat.
They needed that niffler because that sells toys right there.
You know, now they have multiple colored nifflers, so that's
a full line.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be like one of those like you get like a little box and it has a random one in there and you have to collect them all.
Shit, I want one.
Yeah.
I want them to actually be fluffy though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
They don't look fluffy. They look like almost porcupine-ish. Like, not as hard, but it looked a little.
It's like Pokemon all over again.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait and see.
They look fluffy enough, but I mean, even Newt, like that ending scene at Hogwarts, him holding that niffler, that was some pretty poor scene.
I think the baby ones look fluffier than like the adult niffler.
The hair strengthens as they get older.
It must be.
Yeah.
From all the gold sticks to their fur.
That's true.
I think that about does it for me on this Fantastic Beasts and Crimes of Grindelwald.
I think, yeah, more or less, that's kind of everything.
Well, we'll give them our final thoughts and ratings if we give them. Yeah, for me, just it was kind of a mess. It was boring. I was not a fan of any characters, and the ones I were, it seemingly they've ended the storylines between the rules of the world as far as spells and just things like canon. As someone that is like a Star Wars fan, Marvel fan, those are important things, especially when you're dealing with these big universes and they're so connected. Things like this Green thing, things like even little stuff like McGonagall, it's just stuff that it's I don't know, they're playing with fire, and that's the problem we just talked about with prequels. You're always trying to make up for the fact that everyone knows the story and you're in the past. That's why I don't like them. That's why for me, I want to get through these movies. I want to get into Cursed Child, and let's do that. Let's go into this realm where we're with these characters and we're moving forward. We're not moving forward. The tagline is the future will change, and as long as they don't wreck on that, the future's not going to change. We know what's going to happen, and to me, then if you know what's going to happen, you got to make it an interesting story with interesting characters. They did not do that in the first one for me, but that one was, at least for me, fine. This one, they really was the, for me, like Hobbits, Attack of the Clones, where it's like, oh man, we're into some bad movies now. And even though this was a setup movie, Or the Phoenix is a setup movie, but I still consider it a good movie. I don't consider this a good movie, so it has to be worried. Like I said, my two changes, I want a new director, and I want J.K. Rowling to step out, or I want her to take on someone that has screenwritten, even get someone that screenwrote some of those previous Harry Potters. Like, hey, this isn't working, critics aren't a fan of it, fans aren't actually a fan of this right now, so I'm going 3 out of 10 for myself.
Ooh.
3.
Whoa.
That's probably the lowest rating you've given something in a while, hey?
Yeah, because we've got a string of good movies, and for me, it was just not enjoyable. I was very bored, and I just,
I can't blame you.
Yeah. Score was fine, but nothing like magical. The best thing is like when Hedwig's theme pops up, but like the rest of the stuff, it was like when Johnny Depp's intimidating, it's intimidating music. When it's sad, it's sad. It didn't feel natural, so yeah, I just 3 out of 10 for myself. There's a few things, Leah. That's about it, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it all. The thing is, if this is a setup movie, it didn't make me excited for the next movie, for what's to come, and that's a big problem. Once again, I was just wanting any character to latch on to, someone that, that character alone can keep me interested, keep me excited for the next one, and maybe there's a couple potential for that. They killed off one, and I don't know. It's pretty disappointing. Overall, it's just, just too much in one movie. You know, this feels like a video game movie with all the fucking
Warcraft
side storylines you got going on here. Kind of a mess. Some fun scenes there, you know, but that's just it. Like they're just like kind of fun one-off scenes. Nothing that like when this hits Netflix, you know, it's not gonna be in my you know, time doc for movies I gotta watch.
Yeah. We may one day do a Harry Potter retro. We're never doing a Fantastic Beasts retro. I'm letting you know that.
I don't think so. Like this.
I'm all about a Harry Potter.
I tried to rewatch the first one in preparation for this movie. When the next one comes out, I don't really want to rewatch this one. I feel like I might. Maybe I'll watch like the last half an hour just to kind of try and make sense of it all. The thing is, I'll probably forget that I didn't want to watch it. Like, oh, it wasn't that bad, you know. There's a cool kelp monster.
Just do laundry during it or cook dinner. That's what I do sometimes with these movies. You know, do something else and it'll pass.
Yeah.
Just cook dinner.
Yeah. Hey.
Cook dinner.
Yeah.
Oh man. I don't know. Jessica saved me. I have nothing to say about this movie.
Yeah, I definitely. I don't know. Maybe I went in being a little too critical, like, because for sure I was sitting there picking out flaws, which is unfortunate. But I do think that if you're a fan and you're going to see the movies anyway, you know, it's fun to see it in theaters. There are some really cool animals and some cool scenes that are fun to watch. You know, maybe see it on a Tuesday as opposed to paying full price for it, or go with someone that you can talk about it with after, you know, wait till it's been in theaters a while and go to a matinee where you can kind of talk with someone and like laugh about it while you're watching it and try and make it entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Or wait for Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if you're not super into it, for sure you could. I do think it was fun to watch in theaters because, you know, when you see that giant cat with the long tail, like, it's fun to see and to watch that, but it's a lot, and it would have been nice to be able to kind of pause and, you know, walk around for a minute, go get a refill popcorn.
Walk around.
Just
That's not something you should want to do when watching a movie.
Well, you know,
I just want to walk around right now.
Well, you know.
Can we pause this? I just need to go around the block once.
You know what? I got a bad hip, okay? You know, sometimes it's what I think about.
Fair enough.
So, you know, I wouldn't for sure put it, you know, like a have to see, you gotta go to this right away, but I'd put it as if you're a fan and you do plan on watching the next one, you know, go see it in theaters now, because there are moments where it's visually fun to watch and there is things that you will need to know for the next one. So
oh yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, you know, I'll probably end up rewatching it eventually. I've seen Fantastic Beasts many times, so maybe my opinion will change when I'm not sitting there, you know, expecting, you know, gold and I'm handed bronze kind of thing.
Oh, not even silver, just bronze.
Straight to the bronze.
Straight to the bronze.
Yeah, well, you know, if Fantastic Beasts was silver, then this was definitely not gold, so, you know.
You know what is gold, ladies and gentlemen? This podcast. You were done, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean,
because you've taken the Dylan approach, right? You don't do numbers anymore, right?
No, not 100%. Sometimes you drop a number, don't you?
Sometimes. I don't know.
You should keep this gold, silver, bronze thing. That could be.
I like that.
And then if they're really bad, they just don't get a medal.
They just don't even get
No,
payment.
they got fourth place. Sorry.
Highlander.
Yeah.
I'll trade you this fancy rock.
Yeah, participation trophy. But yes, golden is this podcast. We thank you very much for tuning in this. If you like this review, check out our old ones. Check out next week. We got a bunch dropping. We're gonna get out of here because it is late.
We got Wreck-It Ralph coming up next week, or Break It Ralph.
Ralph Breaks the Internet, which I hate that title, but cool.
It should, yeah. Ralph Wrecks the Internet. Why did they not do that?
I would have been fine with Wreck-It Ralph too.
but like Ralph breaks the internet. It's Wreck-It Ralph. Why? He doesn't break, he
They
wrecks.
wanted the meme. And
but they make that joke in the trailer, right?
Yeah, they wanted the meme.
They're self-aware.
Right? Yeah.
They made it just so that they could make a joke in the movie about the title of it.
100%.
Well, you know,
so
worth it.
That's forward thinking.
Long-term con.
In our podcast services on YouTube, all links are down below. Go subscribe, like, and review our reviews, you know? So thank you very much for tuning in. And hear from us next, it will not be boring.
Bye-bye.
Okay.